Let me go back to your time in Georgia, in the legislature there, 20 years.
Mm.
How long was it before you felt you weren't any longer being considered as the black representative and the leftist, the unpatriotic opponent of the Vietnam War?
For some people, this never happened. I was always thought that way. But for most people, you know, politicians are very rational. And if everybody in these front rows were voting on something and they had to get a majority, and the people on this side voted one way and the people on this side voted another, and if these people could get one of these people to come over to them, they'd do it, and they'd be nice to the person, and they'd be nice to my wife, for example, who's very personable here, second person in, and they'd talk to her and they might promise her things that she'd like. I don't mean bribes, you know, just that when she had an argument to make that they'd be on her side, then they'd do, and that happened to me. When it became clear to my colleagues in the House first, where I served first, that I was a vote. Among other things, I was a vote. And my vote could be for them or against them. Then they began to pay attention to me, they wooed me, and asked me to vote for them, and if it was something I could do, I was happy to do it. And in turn, I asked them to vote for me, and if it was something they could do, they'd do it for me. So I'd say about 2 years.
When you were first elected, there were 8 of you, as I remember, all elected at the same time, who were African Americans.
Right.
You were the only one that was not seated.
Mm-hmm.
Why was that? What happened to
Well,
those?
about a week before I was elected, I was to be seated. A young man named Sammy Young, who worked for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee for whom I worked, was shot in the back in Tuskegee, Alabama. Sammy had been in the Navy. He had lost a kidney in the Navy. He had to go to the bathroom more than most people. He's walking away from a demonstration in downtown Tuskegee where he lived. He comes to a gas station. He wants to go to the bathroom, and as he tries to do that, the owner of the gas station shot him in the back and killed him. And the irony of this guy losing his life in service to his country when he's given his kidney in service to his country was too much. And we issued an anti-war statement, which at the time sounded aggressive and militant, but today would sound like things people are saying about the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, you know, just normal things. Wouldn't sound bad at all. But then I think sounded radical to my colleagues to be, and they objected to my being seated, and they filed a challenge against me. And they held a trial on the floor of the House, and they voted 160 odd to 12 to throw me out. The 12 were my black colleagues, and they threw me out. I appealed this to a 3-judge federal court. The 2 judges appointed by President Kennedy voted against me. The judge appointed by President Eisenhower voted for me. We appealed that to the United States Supreme Court, and I went to the court to hear the argument, and I was sitting in the court just behind the bar with the lawyers in front of me, and I was sitting next to my lawyer's partner, Victor Rabinowitz, and the Attorney General of Georgia was making an argument that Georgia had a right to throw me out because I had said things that were treasonous and seditious. And I think it was Judge White, Whizzer White, said to him, he said, "Is this all you have?" He said, you come all the way up here and this is all you have? So I said to Rabinowitz, I said, "We're winning, aren't we?" And he said, "Yes, you are." And yes, we did. And we won 9-0. It carried the day, and I was seated the following year.